most reverend members of the Sangha, distinguished speakers, and all my dear brothers and sisters. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm really rejoice. The previous speakers who spoke really well, it was very informative, and reflections are required. I need to digest that, but I need to hurry up with my presentation now. Let's see, what's here? No? Okay.
This is down.
Yeah. Oh, this is down. All right. Thank you. So, my presentation is about digital Dhamma, how we socially engage. We are living in this digital era, and we can't avoid. But the whole point is how we digitally encourage and motivate people to take social action and spread the Buddha Dhamma. Now, my presentation focuses more on liberty, equality, fraternity. Dr. Ambedkar, I think many of you might know. My sister here, my spiritual sister Anjali knows, and few others also are much aware of the contribution made by Dr. Ambedkar, who was the chief architect of our Indian Constitution. So he wrote the preamble saying, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic." It's a very powerful statement that we start with when we talk about our Constitution, especially the preamble of the Constitution. And when we proceed further, he talks about justice, social, economic, political. And then he lines up with liberty, equality, fraternity, which is engraved in our Constitution's preamble. Now, the presentation explores how digital platforms can be used to share the Buddhist teachings and social values, how we engage ourselves with Buddhist communities, and not only the Buddhist communities, also with the non-Buddhist communities in terms of the social problems and issues that are prevailing in their respective places. I don't want to go because this slide would be more basic, so I'd skip on to the next one. And liberty in Buddhism is liberation from ignorance and suffering. So the social media that we are using, it basically talks about, we talk more about Sila, Samadhi, Pragya in the Buddhist discourse. We are more towards ethical practices. India has been torn apart, not only in terms of languages and cultures, but we have a social disease called caste. And the religious fundamentalism is also a manifestation of caste. The Hindu fundamentalism that we have in our country is not something to do with Hindu against Christianity or Hindu against Islam. It's against Hinduism, the upper caste people against the lower caste. It's very interesting that the people from outside might think that usually the Hindu community hates Muslim community. It's not that flat. They hate Indian Muslims, not the general Muslims. If they hate the general Muslims, then they won't be able to do anything, any business with the Middle Eastern countries, because the whole fuel industry is completely reliant upon the Middle Eastern countries. So the reason behind why they hate Indian Muslims is because of the fact that these are the people who got converted due to caste atrocities and oppressions, and they embrace Islam and Christianity. So the lower caste and the backward class communities of India have embraced Islam and Christianity. So that's the reason why there's hatred among the upper caste Hindus against the Muslims and Christians. Now, we all know Buddha rejected all kinds of social discriminations. And as being a Buddhist, it's a huge responsibility for us to work in terms of social equality and addressing the social justice. And we are also using this as a great opportunity because the courts doesn't hear the voices of the marginalized communities. The police station doesn't hear the voices of the marginalized communities, but the digital world listens. So Facebook and WhatsApp and other media, social medias are platforms where you use to exchange ideas and express our grievances. Now we, during the time of pandemic too, that the relief material that reached out, even during the time of any kind of disaster that we see in our country, the immediate portion of relief reaches the well-influenced communities. And the deprived communities, the marginalized communities hardly get the relief materials. Even if they get, it's too late by the time it reaches. So we also talk about fraternity. We do have lots of initiatives in terms of interfaith dialogues, and we also work as being Buddhist. It's very interesting that last year we had an international conference organized for the INEB, International Network of Engaged Buddhists, in which I'm also a board member. We organized the conference in the Christian premises, so we have a fantastic relationship among ourselves. And we say that, I am also aspiring to have the future Buddhist conference to be held in a mosque or a place where the Muslim institutions have their premises. So in that way, there is this give and take, and making our identity dilute as being even a so-called bigger Buddhist, and making the representation more in terms of the identity of wisdom and compassion. So these are the strategies that we are generally using, like many of you are using. And we also have campaigns on mental health and mindfulness, because there are lots of cases where we also are witnessing suicides in our country, especially in places like Tamil Nadu. There is this growing amount of alcoholism and substance abuse. So through the online platforms, we have been using certain inspirational quotes. Like each community has their own leaders, and we use the community leaders' captions and slogans for inspiring them to take social action and become more socially responsible. And like this, we have different campaigns. Like we also have a campaign of blood donation, where we say that breaking the caste discrimination through blood donation. Because we go to a hospital, if we want blood, we ask A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative. We never ask Muslim positive or Muslim negative. We then don't ask Christian A positive or Christian A negative. So we say annihilation of caste through blood donation. So that's one campaign that we do. I think it's repeated. Okay. So we did a yatra. It's called the Dhamma Yatra, where we did a hybrid model. One is to reach the people, and second, reach the people through the social media as well. So it was like a kind of walking video, and also going to the different institutions, making presentations, and also inspiring the local communities who are not able to reach us, and also the tribal areas, the indigenous communities where the indigenous communities live. They also do not have direct access in hilly terrain. So we try to use social media as a platform with this hybrid model campaigning. So one of the campaigns that we did is also to take the Buddha to the indigenous communities, the place where they can't come to us. And we also reached the slums of India, and the youngsters are more familiar with the use of social media. So the parents are not that good enough or educated enough. They are not digitally literate, but the youngsters are very much instrumental in taking these social media to their parents and their locality. So the youths play a very significant role in our campaign. And also the school, we do a facilitation program where we encourage the rural folks, especially the girl child, who are not having enough access for creative writings and skill development. So what we do is we also reach the volunteers of the village, and where we encourage them to facilitate this process. So this is one of the activities that is performed by the girl children. And in this way, we have also, during the time of post-pandemic, we have also prevented the school dropouts to a maximum level, especially among the girl child. And we do lots of workshops online. And this is very interesting. These are the important artifacts and statues of the Buddha. And South India, very few people know about South India actually. But the moment India comes to picture, Taj Mahal comes, or Delhi comes into the picture. So otherwise, for the Buddhist community, it's always the four important places like the Buddha Gaya, Lumbini, and so on. And then for the Indian Buddhists, the majority Indian Buddhists will also be focusing more upon the followers of Dr. Ambedkar's important place called Nagpur, where we have the Diksha Bhumi, where every year there are close to about some 1 million people come and pay respects. So these are the places which are like predominantly being exhibited and advertised, but these are very important places that I'm showing here, where the South India plays a significant role in proselytizing the Buddhism, especially during the time of the ancient and medieval history. It was through South India that the Buddhist treasures went to the Southeast Asian countries and East Asian countries. And these are the important statues which are still being protected and preserved by the local youths. But so many statues got vandalized and smuggled out of our country. I'm also an attorney. I also work on court cases to retrieve all these statues back to our country. So one of the campaigns that we do is also to digitalize these important shrines and the place where the statues are. So we try to preserve it by digitalization. University of California is one of the university that has come forward, recognized our work in digitalizing this project. And another important thing is with working with the marginalized communities, especially on social justice. So we did a conference in the name of Dalit Intellectual Collective. It's one of our sister organization. So what we are trying to do is, usually what happens when violence occurs, what happens is that the Dalit community, the lower caste, they try to reach out to the police station. And police station is not a good place for the Dalit community because it is also controlled by the upper caste community. So they don't register the cases instantly. And then they have to go to the courts of India. So these are the two places where we seek justice. And even the courts, most of the times what happens is if you don't register or file a case based upon the sections that is being referred in the Indian law books, then your cases get rejected. Now, what we are doing in the digital platform is we directly connect with the victim's family, document through the digital media, and circulate it to all the important commissions that are supposed to work for the social justice cause. So this is one platform that we use. And the second thing that we do is we also take these videos as evidences to prove in the courts as well. Because most of the cases that we are getting defeated or rejected is due to lack of evidences. And this is another activity that we are doing with children who are affected by eye cancer. So during the time of pandemic and also post-pandemic, what we were doing is we were not able to reach out to the beneficiaries. So what we do is we have the community activities, and those who are contributors, who are donors, and those who are Dhamma practitioners, they communicate through the mobiles. So through the mobiles, we are organizing this function with the children. So these are activities that we did during the time of COVID. And very interesting, even during the time of COVID, where we were not able to reach out to the poor, it's all through the digital media. Okay, this is the campaign that I have started for the blood donation. I'm myself a donor. I have donated more than 27 times in my life. I would love to do more and more. And this is the way we connect with each other. We say that our blood is with yours and yours is with us. So how does caste come into the picture, So that's one of the ways through which we try to break the barricades of caste. Employability skill is another important aspect, because the youths who are from the vulnerable communities do not have access for quality education and training. So what happens is English language becomes a big barricade for them. And when they go for any kind of skill development training program, there is a screening test, and they ask, how is your English? And when the English testing is not, if the English standard of the child is not adequate enough or not appreciated, then they get rejected in the admission phase itself. So we are encouraging them to come to our center, and we also have our digital learning system, e-learning systems, through which we take classes for the youths. And many people, we also ensure that they all get decent placements. That's very important for us. Yeah, now the challenge is that, sometimes what happens, we do lots of programs, but then there is also distortions that takes place. And the speakers who spoke previously, they were also mentioning about it, how it also causes enormous amount of addiction, and it itself creating kind of like insomnia as well. Anxiety is also very interestingly. I met last week Bhikkhu Bodhi. Bhikkhu Bodhi was referring that people are waiting to see how many likes are being pressed in the Facebook, after they post. So it is so much into the ego world. And these are our people who worked. So why I'm mentioning this picture, I'll finish off with this, is that when the calamity takes place, based upon the intensity of calamity, when the electricity goes off, then the digital media goes off. So now we have to reach. So we can't completely rely on the digital media. So here we have to go to the people. These are my volunteers who went for the flood relief. And we have to go in person to meet people and work for them. Thank you very much for the patience. And I'm sorry if I have exceeded my timing. Thank you.